Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome into our first ever Facebook live stream talking about iNaturalist. Welcome in. This is going to be a more casual event and more casual presentation. In fact, we don't even have PowerPoint slides. Instead, I, Wendy Anderson, am going to walk you through iNaturalist usage on the website and advanced iNaturalist usage. If you are here in chat, would you please introduce yourself, say where you're coming from, and tell me what you want to learn about iNaturalist. On the left-hand side of the screen, right above me, you'll see my suggested topics. If I don't get any comments asking for specific requests on iNaturalist usage, I will just start from the top and work my way down from there. Otherwise, I would love to hear from y'all. Who is here? Where are you tuning in from? And are you going to participate in City Nature Challenge? So, I am Wendy Anderson. I am one of two Texas Nature Tracker biologists. The other Texas Nature Tracker biologist is Rachel Grotti. And we are hosting or helping organize the Texas City Nature Challenge, which is this weekend. So starting at 12:01 a.m. on Friday all the way till 11:59 p.m. on Monday, you are encouraged to take observations on iNaturalist to contribute to a greater project for a collaboration of documenting biodiversity across the globe. We organize the Texas Regional City Nature Challenge, and we have cities from all over Texas participating. I bet your urban area is participating. If you don't see your urban area on here, good news, you can still participate by contributing to the global project. So anyone around the globe who isn't part of a regular City Nature Challenge can participate in the global project. And now I do want to give some caveats to this presentation. It is live. And with that, since I am streaming from my home office, I do have some other guest speakers in the house, and those are going to be my 5 dogs and cat. So I am really sorry in advance if they start barking. 2 of my 5 dogs are Great Pyrenees, so they bark when a squirrel farts. So I apologize in advance for that. And I will be constantly moderating or looking at chat and reading your comments. Let's just triple check. Would someone be able to comment just to make sure that I can see the comments? I would love to know that everything is going off without a hitch. So with the City Nature Challenge that is happening this weekend, cities around the globe are collaborating and documenting biodiversity across the world. And in Texas, we tend to be a powerhouse globally. Last year, 3 of the top 10 cities around the globe were in Texas. So our big urban areas that tend to be the most competitive are Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Galveston, and the San Antonio metro area. And whether you are in a small project or a large project, you are encouraged to go out this weekend and take observations on iNaturalist. If you don't know what iNaturalist is, Rachel Grotti, my colleague, had recorded a iNaturalist 101 and shared that to this Facebook page very recently. And you're welcome to pause this video, go watch that video, and come back and watch the rest of this video. Okay, I don't have any comments yet, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Anyways, okay, so iNaturalist is a app, a website, and a platform to document biodiversity from people's personal encounters with nature. It is a fantastic tool, and we use it a lot as part of Texas Nature Trackers. So first thing I'm going to show you today is identification. So identification is going to be really important for our City Nature Challenge, because in the 2 weeks following City Nature Challenge, you are encouraged to contribute identifications on the website to help iNaturalist observations become research grade. So let's take a look at identification. On the iNaturalist.org homepage, at this panel at the very top, you can see there's an identify button up here. And so we click that identify button, and now you do need to have an account and be logged in on the website in order to identify and contribute identifications. And for me, it defaults to Texas, but it might default globally to you. So let's simulate what it might look like on your end. So this is going to be all observations globally that need identifications. So let's narrow it down to a smaller area to make it easier. So I am based out of the Austin area, and one of my favorite parks in the Austin area is Commons Ford Metropolitan Park. So I'm going to specify looking at observations within Commons Ford Metropolitan Park that need identification. So in this place box, I am going to type Commons Ford Metropolitan. Oh, there we go. And then I will click go, or it will automatically refresh. And now it has filtered down to just observations in Commons Ford. And let's be real, I am not an expert in all taxa, and I don't expect any of you to be. So let's start off on the most easy level. We are going to filter observations that need identifications by ones that are unknown. So even if you don't know how to tell, let's see, southern live oak from escarpment live oak, you can still contribute identifications on iNaturalist. So if we click this unknown button, it will pull up all iNaturalist observations in this area that have an unknown taxa. There's only one, so this is not a very good example. So instead, I'm just going to open up the search to all Texas. And so I imagine that you viewers could tell the difference between a bug and a plant. And that is all you need to greatly help identification on iNaturalist. So you can filter by unknown, and these are observations that have no taxonomic group or identification on them. And what you can do is you click on any of these observations, and we know this is a plant. If you know what this plant is, say it in the chat. But if you don't know what plant this is, but you know it's a plant, what you can do is type plant. And now, for you plant nerds out there, you can go on the identification tab and filter by plants, which I'll show you in 1 second, and this observation will come up. So let's do a couple more examples. This, I honestly have no idea what this is. It kind of looks like a cockroach, but I can see 3 legs, and I know that, or I'm guessing that this is an insect of some sort. So I'm going to type insect. And so then people who are experts in insects will be able to see this and provide better identification. And I'll provide a few more examples. We have this right here, which is definitely a mushroom. I don't know what kind of mushroom this is. So I'm just going to put fungi. And there might be situations where you just genuinely don't know what this person was trying to post. Like, I think that's a lichen. But pop quiz. If I type in lichen, is there a taxonomic group called lichen? I'll give you a few more seconds to think about it. So if I were to type in lichen, sure, there's a class lichen, but there are tons of different classes that have lichens in it, because lichens aren't just one taxa. Lichens are a plethora, or sorry, 3 different taxonomic entities that are in a symbiotic relationship. So it's often an algae, a yeast, and a fungus. And so on iNaturalist, we have lichens under fungi. So I am going to put fungi right here. Oh, failed to save record. Okay. And let's go to another page and just do a couple more examples. Let's see, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. This is a spider. What kind of spider? I do not know. So simply, we can put spider. And one more example. So in Texas, the only things that lay eggs are herps, so reptiles, turtles, frogs, lizards, and birds. We don't have any echidnas in Texas. And based off of the fact that there are feathers right here, and based off of the fact that I know that this is a killdeer nest, or at least I'm suspecting that it's a killdeer nest. Or no, it's not a killdeer nest. Well, then I have no idea what this is. What I can do is, since I can see that there's eggs and that there's feathers and that it's distinctly a nest, I'm just going to put bird. And so now I'm going to filter to the greater Austin area. And I personally am a plant nerd. That is my specialty. So I could not confirm or deny that this is a female blue grosbeak. What I can do is now filter by plants in the greater Austin area. And I can go through these observations and look, if I can know any of these plants and contribute in identification. So this right here, horse herb, strangler daisy, I know that for sure. Avalanche suggested the ID of horse herb, so I am going to agree with her. And you'll see that at the very top, this is now research grade because at least 2 out of the 3 people that have contributed identifications agree on one species. And so looking through here, this is most definitely Rubus trivialis. I know that because it is tattooed on me. We don't have any comments, right? Oh, I am missing comments. I'm so sorry. I was wondering why no one was commenting. Yay! Okay, I can finally see the 37 comments now. Weird. Okay, let me go through these. Sorry about that. Okay, so now that we've gone over some basic identification, let me see what suggestions we have from chat so I can finally see comments. I was like, why? Why is no one commenting? People usually comment on me and say hello. We have Sarah Hughes and Jean and Dana and Ilya. Awesome. What a good group of people tuning into this live TNT iNaturalist webinar, live stream. I don't know. So we have lots of comments about wanting help with ID for City Nature Challenge. Awesome. Trying again to request creating a location using Google Maps. I can help you do that, Mary. I don't think Wendy can see the chat. Yes, sorry about that. Thank you, everyone. Robin Richter asked, if I take a picture with 2 items such as a bug on a plant, how do I get iNaturalist to identify the bug or the plant? And Rachel correctly commented in response to Robin, you can actually make 2 separate posts and have it ID each one. Okay, so we are going to do a little bit more on City Nature Challenge identification. Specifically, we're going to use last year's observations as an example, because if you look right now on Texas City Nature Challenge, there are no observations because it has not happened yet. Oh, Chase City Nature Challenge. Let's see. Projects. 2026. Texas cities. There we go. Okay. If you go on to all of the cities that are participating in Texas for City Nature Challenge, you'll see that there are 0 observations. So I can't exactly show you how to do an example of an identification using current, sorry, that's one of my Great Pyrenees barking. And so we're going to use last year's projects for an example. So we'll do 2025 Texas cities. And we'll pretend like this is the current project. So let's say it is a week from now after City Nature Challenge, and let's pretend like we're Rachel Grotti, and we want to contribute identifications in our local area, which for her would be the San Antonio metro area. And if we go to the San Antonio metro area, you'll see that there's over 135,000 observations, which is absolutely incredible. You can click on this tab, the observations tab, click this green arrow, or click view all, and it will bring you to all of the observations that are within that project. And if you click filters at the very top right hand side of the screen, you'll see at the very bottom that there is an identify button. Sorry about my dog. There's nothing going to stop her. And so if I click this identify button, it'll take a second to load, but it pulls up all of the observations that still need identification for the San Antonio area. So we actually have just 1,400 pages of observations that need identification. Just a small amount. We desperately need help for identification in Texas. 1 second, I'm just going to tell my dog to be quiet. If you're lucky, you might see her walking into my room. Okay, so we see all of these observations that need identification. Let's just click on the first one. This first one, I do not know my Mexican plums from leaf alone, so I would have to look into Prunus mexicana, and let's see if we can find some ID information on Prunus mexicana, which is Mexican plum. So this is a perennial tree, deciduous. There are no flowers on this, so we cannot identify using the flower. And it is indeed distributed in Texas. Okay. And what information do we have on this? The Wildflower Center does not provide information about the leaf arrangement, but it does provide 400 pictures. So we can look at pictures of the Mexican plum and see if it compares. So we can see on this picture of Mexican plum on the Lady Bird Johnson wildflower page that the leaves are alternate. So we have one leaf coming off the stem here, one leaf coming off the stem here, one leaf coming off the stem here. The leaf edges are serrated like a saw blade. And the leaves are simple. They are not compound leaves. There is only one leaf attached. They are entire. Yeah, I guess they're not lobed. And so let's compare this leaf to this leaf. We have alternate arranged leaves. We have serrated edges, kind of a red bark, which you kind of see there. And I'm pretty confident using my botany skills and looking at examples that this is Mexican plum. So I'm going to click agree, and now it will become research grade. And we can just continue on. From this photo, I do not know if I can get this to species. You're gonna find that sometimes you can't contribute an identification, and that is okay. Only contribute an identification when you are 100% certain. Arizona black walnut has a certain number of leaflets compared to other walnuts. And so I'm actually going to filter by unknown observations and see if there's anything in here that I can get down to any sort of taxa. So we have an example here of 3 humans and a mesquite, and someone commented, "What are you trying to identify?" The mesquite, and then other people are saying, "Yep, what are you trying to identify?" And so we don't know if they're trying to identify the people or the mesquite, and so we're going to agree on life. Genuinely, I have no idea what this is. I don't think that this is a stinkhorn. I think this is mulch from something, but I don't know what. Again, I do not know what. Let's see if I can get down to... Yeah, okay, so this is a great example. Here we have a beautiful picture of a leaf with an insect on it that is eating a caterpillar. We can look at this and see the narrow abdomen right here on this insect. We have the head, abdomen, and thorax. So we know it is an insect. Is there hair on it? No. And so we can kind of lean towards a wasp. And if we see this very narrow part of the abdomen, that kind of tells us it's more of a wasp. And so, in fact, one of the identifications is narrow-waisted wasps, ants, or bees. And I am going to agree with that. And since it is only at the order level, it is still at needs ID. We do not know what the species is. We were not able to make this research grade. Am I missing any chats? Okay. So this one is some kind of dung. Sorry for the picture. What is this? Oh. Looks like there's someone who commented that this is necrotic plant tissue, but possibly caused by a scale insect colony, but we do not know. This is a horrible picture. I'm sorry to shame you, Steve 13C. It is blurry. There's no leaves. There is not... really any sort of information besides this blurry picture of the seed head. But I can actually tell that this is the seed head of an allium, spring onion. And so what I'm actually going to do is type in allium. And I'll need someone smarter than me to come in to see if we can get that down to species. But at least we can get it down to, we know it's a plant, we know it's an allium, which are onions. This, I'm guessing, this person was trying to take a picture of this gall. This second ID, I will lightly encourage you to be more careful next time when you're providing your identification, because the very first person said this is a Texas buck moth. That's one of our species of greatest conservation need moths in Texas. And the second person said, yep, that is one. Do you see a moth anywhere on this? There is no moth. There is no caterpillar. This is not evidence of a moth or a caterpillar. I believe this person was trying to get a picture of these galls, or this gall right here on this oak. So I'm going to, rather than say it's in the plant kingdom, yes, it is on an oak. But I'm pretty sure this being in the center, it was supposed to be a gall, and galls are formed by insects. They can be formed by a variety of insects. I don't know in this case of this gall, so instead I'm just going to put insect. Oh, not comment. Insect. And I am going to put in the comments, I am assuming you are wanting to identify the gall that is in the center of the photo on the oak. And there are gall nerds out there that will pick up on this and identify it. We have one question in chat from Robin. I live in Burnett County. Can I join the Austin Challenge? Let's see. So if we go to the, Austin 2026 City Nature Challenge. If we scroll down here, I believe this is Burnett County. So therefore, you can participate, Robin. Woo woo! And I'm just going to do a few more examples since I've spent 30 minutes now on identification alone. Let's take a look at this. Again, this is a case of, are they trying to observe the plant? Are they trying to observe this plant with the serrated edges, or this plant right here? The grass, this in the background, which ironically we can identify all of those. I just don't know which one they're trying to identify. So this plant that's kind of in the foreground in focus, that has the kind of brown stuff, which this person said was fungus. That's actually just like dead necrotic tissue. And this, I believe, is hackberry? Anyone want to? Oh, the first person was trying to document the virus. I don't know if that's a virus. Could not tell you. So since I am not confident, I am going to leave that off. I am really sorry. I have to let my black lab out. I will be back in 5 seconds. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I am back. Sorry about that. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic, which was requested by Mary, which was how to create an area for a project. So, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm just going to look at the Texas map. So I'm trying to think of where in Texas there is a need for a project, a place that does not have one already. This is hard. The example I used previously was headquarters, which I will demonstrate for you. So headquarters at Texas Parks and Wildlife is right on the property of McKinney Falls State Park. And let's say I wanted to create an iNaturalist project for this area right here. I would not be able to just say project for this area without specifying what is the place. We don't want to be too broad with saying Travis County. And we, even though it's on McKinney Falls property, I only wanted to get observations from Texas Parks and Wildlife headquarters, not McKinney Falls State Park. So we are going to walk through how to create a place in iNaturalist so you can create a project for a location. And one quick pause. Thank you, Rachel Grotti, so much for all of your moderation. It's harder than I expected to see the chat. So I have to keep on refreshing the page to get updates on chat. So thank you for taking in that responsibility. So to create a place, the easiest way to do it is Google My Maps. And you have to have an account on Google My Maps, a Google account. I'm going to log in, but first I'm going to hide my screen so you don't see my information. 1 second. Okay. Oh, somehow that got taken over here. So here is Google My Maps. Yours will appear to have no maps. I love maps. My background is in GIS, so I like making maps for all of my vacations, for pretty much everything. So we are going to click Create a New Map up at the very top. And it will just show you the extent of the world. So we're going to type in TPWD HQ. Let's see if that comes up. There it does. Okay. If you wanted to change the base maps to satellite so you could see aerial imagery, Wendy Wisdom Windham, yes, everything is going to be recorded on and posted to our Facebook page, so you will be able to review this later. So what we want to do is to create a polygon shape that encompasses all of headquarters, but does not include McKinney Falls State Park or any of this middle school. So up at the very top, we are going to click Draw a Line. It's a bit of misnomer because it's drawing a line and a shape are the same tool. So click Add Line or Shape. And now you will see my cursor is a crosshair which means that when I click, it will add a vertex for my polygon. And so I want to start out at the southernmost end of TPWD headquarters, and I am going to go to the end of this field, which I know is within TPWD headquarters, this beautiful maintained grassland. I am going to go to the end of this parking lot right here, which is our voter registration building. I am going to go to this corner right here, which is another part of the grassland at headquarters, continue making points all the way around my desired area until I get to the last point, and you'll kind of see it snaps into place, and my cursor then turns into a pointer finger. And if I click this, it will now create a shape. And I'm going to title this shape TPWD HQ. And so now I have a polygon shape. But how do I get this polygon shape to iNaturalist? What we're going to do is click these three vertical dots right here and go to Export Data and go to KML/KMZ. I do not remember off the top of my head if iNaturalist needs a KML or a KMZ. So let me just do a quick KML. Okay. So iNaturalist needs the file type to be a KML. No worries if you don't know what that means. I have no idea what KML stands for. It's just going to be the spatial data of the thing you created. Do not click this first option, but do click this second option, export as KML. And so we will start our download, and you can't see it on the Facebook Live, but I can see that this KML file downloaded to my computer. So then to get this file into iNaturalist, if we were to go on the iNaturalist homepage, and before you start this process, you need 50 observations that are research grade prior to getting the permission to do this. That's a very low barrier, so you can get that today if you need to. But on iNaturalist, click More, and then go to Places. And this is just information about all the places that are within iNaturalist. If you have at least 50 observations that are research grade, you will have this button on your screen that says Add a New Place. So you'll click this Add a New Place button, and we're going to, it prompts you to fill out some information about that location. So I am going to type in TPWD, or no, we're going to try to provide as much, or as, be as informative as possible while being precise. So rather than using TPWD, I will do Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Headquarters. It asks for a place name. Let's see if we can do Texas. I've never really seen this used. I just always put the state. It then asks for the KML of the place boundary. You're going to click this browse button and navigate to your where it downloaded on your computer. You even see here that it suggests you can make one using Google Maps, Google Earth, or most GIS application. It has to be under 1 megabyte and have an area smaller than 700,000 square kilometers. That is because large places in iNaturalist bog down the iNaturalist server. And so they are really restricting and discouraging people from making large new places. So again, to upload our KML, we are going to click that browse button. My file upload folder is not showing, but you can see it now that I navigated to untitled layer, the KML file that I had downloaded earlier. It asks for what is the place type, and it's basically, is this continent, country, county, division, estate, municipality? I am going to say this is a point of interest. And you're welcome to put the checklist aloud. I have never used checklists, but you're welcome to make that option. Once you have filled out the name, uploaded your file, you can then click Save Place. I am not going to upload that because I already have a TPWD HQ place. So let's take a look at my place. I have to let my dog back in, so give me 1 second. Apologies. Let's see, where can I find my places? Is that on profile? Nope, I'm sorry. Not complete expert. I'm learning at the same time as you. Well, I just know that if I type in Texas Parks and Wildlife Department headquarters, I have made this place. And so if we click about, you'll see, oh, it was made by me, my personal account. And it is that polygon that I had created. And now you can look at the observations of the area, the people who have contributed observations to that area. You could instead search Texas Parks and Wildlife Department headquarters and click View Observations. So you can imagine that TPWD headquarters has a lot of nature nerds. So just in this part of this area of headquarters, which is mostly parking lot, we have 1,600 observations, which is actually more than some state parks. Beautiful observations. Rachel, thank you so much for that. She just found out that a KMZ is a zipped version of the KML, for those who are curious. And so now, if I wanted to create a project using this place, I would go to the Community tab at the very top of the page and then click Projects. And if you have more than 50 observations that are research grade, you will see an option right here to start a project. And it says, welcome to projects. And it gives you two basic options, a collection project or an umbrella project. And if you're savvy and actually read, you'll see that there is a secret third option called a traditional project here at the very bottom. For bio-blitzes, for parks, for taxonomic projects like Moths of McKinney Falls State Park or City Nature Challenge Austin Area 2026, you will always use this collection project. Lynn asked, can you delete a place that you create? I think you can. I think you can. So if you wanted to, I would have to sign into my personal account. Let me just test that really fast on my personal account. Give me 3 seconds, Lynn. I'm just signing in on another window screen. You can't see. Texas Parks and Wildlife Headquarters. About. Edit. Yes. Okay. Lynn, yes, you can. So, if I'm going to just kind of walk you through how to delete your location. Doesn't look like it wants to load. My internet may have just gone out. But I don't know why that's not loading. But the answer is yes, you can delete a place. You just have to go to the About section of that place, click Edit Place, and then there will be a button there where you can delete that place. So if I wanted to create a Moths of Texas Parks and Wildlife Headquarters, I would go to Collection Projects and get started. I'm going to call this Moths of Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Headquarters. And you can pick a project icon. You can change the project banner. You have to give a concise summary. At first, you can always go back and update this. Discover and track Lepidoptera species observed at Texas Parks and Wildlife Department's headquarters in Austin, Texas. There is a new feature now on iNaturalist as of today. You have the option to hide the leaderboard. So if you want to have a BioBlitz that is more a collaboration rather than a competition, which we've been trying to move towards collaborative events rather than competitions, you can actually hide the leaderboard. So I am actually going to go hide the leaderboard. I apologize. I have to let another dog back in. Okay, hello, I am back. So we were typing in the description, the project summary. You can change the background color. You can hide the leaderboard so it's more of a collaboration. You're so welcome, Mary. I'm happy to provide instructions. This is what I'm here for. If you accidentally collected umbrella and needed a collection project, you have the option to update it here. And who knows taxonomically, is there a group called moths? Is there a taxonomic group that's just moths? Like we have raptors, we have lizards, we have orchids. Is there a taxonomic group that's moth? You may be surprised to find out that there is no moth taxonomic group. There are tons of different taxa that are considered colloquially moths, but there's not a taxonomic group called moth. What moths are just nocturnal butterflies. So to narrow it down, you could go through each genus in Lepidoptera and find which ones are nocturnal moths. Or you could just type in Lepidoptera moth. And if you, for example, wanted to make a specific project for just your Master Naturalist chapter members, you could have it display only observations from project members and have your fellow Master Naturalists join that project. You can include options for annotations. Only options with these annotations. You can specify only observations that have sound or has photos. I don't know if it's at all possible to identify a moth by sound. As far as I know, it is not. So we are going to just leave it as the default any type. We are going to include all data quality defaults. If we include casual, it might include like for example, people have posted to iNaturalist observations of orcas in San Antonio. Orcas are not native to San Antonio, and it was observed at a particular aquatic park in San Antonio. You could also restrict the project to just native or introduced species. So let's say you're wanting native lepidopterans, native moths to the Texas Parks and Wildlife headquarters. Or maybe you were trying to keep track of all of the introduced invasive species of a park. This would be a great opportunity. You can also filter the observations by date, so only collect observations during a set time. For example, a BioBlitz. If you have a single weekend BioBlitz, you can set the start time and end time, or a single date. And you can have members trust this project with hidden coordinates. And so for all of our projects, we always make that available. It does have an extra step when you join the project, so maybe not as important for you. And we have all of our information. Now I am going to go ahead and make this project. I'll probably delete it after, but let's see what we got. Thank you so much, Robin. I'm glad you're learning too. I really enjoy these. I was kind of playing around with the idea of doing either a monthly webinar to share kind of advanced training like this, or I was even playing around with the idea of like a weekly office hours where we just talk about nature. I don't know. Oh, I forgot the most important part of the project creation process. So you'll see for the moths of Texas Parks and Wildlife headquarters, it has 33 million observations. What did I do wrong? I forgot to specify the area, the project area. So let's go back and edit the project and go to observation requirements and type in under include places, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department headquarters. Okay, let's go back. Join this. No way, Mary. Okay, I'll have to look into that. Thank you. Mary said that you can have the project exclude butterflies, so that's cool. So now it is much more reasonable. There's 216 observations of Lepidoptera at the Texas Parks and Wildlife headquarters. So we can kind of see, it's going to include all, both butterflies and moths, so it's kind of a bad example of a project. But you can see we have almost 100 species just in that small area. I think it's like a 10-acre area, which is actually kind of wild. I love this moth. Oh, we have an observation of a Luna moth. Are you kidding me? That is insane. So this was observed March 8th, 2016. So before I started. That is, oh, John Davis. He, yeah, he used to be the director of the Wildlife Conservation Program. That's so funny. And a great urban wildlife biologist. So if I wanted to delete this project, like I said I would go to Edit Project. And at the very top here, there is a delete button. It doesn't delete the observations in that project. It just deletes the project. So basically, the link to all of those observations that meet the requirements of being in Lepidoptera and at the Texas Parks and Wildlife headquarters in Austin. So let's go ahead and delete this. No harm done. Easy peasy. I'm trying to look at my suggested topics and see what we should tackle next. I made a mistake and posted on Facebook saying that this was only going to be an hour long. If you need to depart for your rest of your life, for fun, for dinner, whatever, this might be a great opportunity for you to check out. This is a voluntary survey. If you wouldn't mind scanning this QR code to help us remain eligible for funding that pays for events like this. Otherwise, I am continuing to speak for another hour on various iNaturalist usage topics, and all concentrating on the website. And so we had someone in the chat ask, can we delete bad observations we have made in the past? Melissa, yes, you can delete those if you are worried about shame. But shame is not a helpful emotion. We have all taken bad observations. iNaturalist is not a photography competition. It is a way for you to engage with nature. So I would discourage you from deleting bad observations unless it's just wholly like you took a picture of a cement wall with nothing on it and there's nothing to identify. And it was absolute mistake observation. Here, let me show you an example of some bad observations from a prolific user. Myself. For all of my observations, my hands are always in the picture. Sometimes things are blurry. And in particular, I've even posted pictures of Homo sapien, including myself. This was a very stupid scenario, which I felt shame about, but I am not deleting it. This was at a work retreat. I saw this about 20 feet away and I nearly screamed, and I ran and grabbed my colleague, Sam Kieschnick, and I was like, Sam, there's a alligator just over here. Come with me to take a picture. It's fake. It's a statue. I'm leaving this up as Homo sapiens because it was created by Homo sapiens. It's fake. I was really embarrassed that I actually thought this was a real alligator. But I'm not deleting this because maybe there's value in it in the future. I don't know. I would discourage you from deleting observations unless they're absolutely horrible. Let's see if I have any absolutely horrible observations of unknown. Ooh, I guess I do. I don't know why I did not put any taxa on here. That's embarrassing. Here is an observation that I will show an example. Angela England commented, looks like the upload failed. There is no photo. There is no date. It was observed in 2024. There is no location. It was an absolute oops. So to show you how to delete an observation, I'm just going to go into our Facebook page. If you were looking at your own observation that you wanted to delete or edit, there is a button in the top right corner of the screen, the edit button. And under here, you can edit the taxa, you can edit the location, you can edit the time it was observed, you can add notes, and you'll see a very small grayed out button that's a delete. This is how much iNaturalist is discouraging you from deleting observations. They make it grayed out and not obvious. So if you wanted to delete an observation, you can delete it by going into the edit window of that observation. Dana in chat said, I understand wanting to delete. The more I learn, the more I cringe at early posts. Yes. For example, I didn't even know to take multiple pictures for an observation and include hand for size example, and especially on flowers. We all live and we learn. Those old observations are still helpful, even if they don't live up to your current today standards. I think it's okay. If you are absolutely embarrassed, I'm not going to say you can't or shouldn't delete it, but I'm just trying to encourage you to be kinder to your past self and to understand that you were learning the entire time, and there's no shame in learning. Exactly, Lynn. If it makes you feel better, delete. She does that all the time. And if I am missing any requests in chat, please repeat and bring it back up. But I'm just going to continue on through through the suggested topics on this. Ooh, we have a question from Mary. Casual observations, whether due to lack of evidence or being captive, do not count towards a city species count. Do they count towards observations? Yes, they do. So what she is talking about is that let's do Austin City Nature Challenge, because that is my personal project. For all City Nature Challenge projects around the world, we are no longer including casual observations. What that means is, let's look at Austin 2025. If we go to observations from Austin last year, and hold on, I got to do a quick Google search. iNaturalist URL search casual observations. 1 second. Quality grade casual. So there is a way to add in a search query into the URL if your search request isn't found in the regular filter option. And so in this case, if we wanted to filter by all casual observations, quality grade equals casual. I believe that will work. Yes. Okay. So now it will show all of the casual observations that were taken during City Nature Challenge last year. So this is a great example of a casual observation that would not have counted for this year. 1, it's in a pot, which means that it is cultivated. 2, there are many pictures of different plants. And so we do not know which plants they're trying to identify. This person down here was kindly explaining, I see you have 8 photos of different species. So break them up into different observations and mark them as not wild. And you can scroll down here to the data quality assessment and see that there is a way to describe, is the organism wild or not wild? And so I know that these are potted. They are not wild. They look like they were probably bought from like a local nursery. And I am going to confirm that the organism was not wild. So these are examples of observations that would not be included this year. But if we use this as an example still, Charles Franks, sorry to use you as an example, his casual observations are still included in here. In fact, you can see a casual observation of Mexican buckeye that he's growing. We have some more potted plants that I'm going to go ahead and mark this as casual, or mark it as captive or cultivated. And it still contributes to his general observations and species count, which is why I did that selfie of myself, Homo sapien, because it just added one more species to my taxonomic list, and I wanted to bump up my numbers. So they shouldn't count for species or observation totals for the City Nature Challenge project. Yes, correct. So these observations, if they are repeated this year, will not be included in City Nature Challenge. So if you take a selfie and upload it, if you take a picture of your dog and upload it to iNaturalist during City Nature Challenge, it will not contribute to number of observations or number of species within your City Nature Challenge area. So don't waste your time with that. There was some talk of a few other cities that encourage students to make observations as part of City Nature Challenge, and the students just took observations of their cats and potted plants, which made it seem like they had wildly popular, diverse areas with lots of people engaging with it, but truly maybe like 5% of the observations were of wild organisms. And so that doesn't really provide an example, a good view of the biodiversity of the area. Happy to take more requests. I'm looking at my suggested topics. Batch edit observations. So this is helpful if you wanted to batch add all of your observations to maybe a Texas Nature Tracker project, if you wanted to obscure the location, or any other reason. So on iNaturalist, if you go under your observations, incorrect. On iNaturalist website, if you hover over in the top right corner of your screen, hover over your profile picture and go to edit observations. It might take a moment to load. It will show you a map and information about all of your observations you have ever uploaded. So what we're going to do is add in all of our bird observations to Birds of Texas. So first, we want to filter by the taxonomic group birds. So we clicked this button search and then clicked show only birds. And when I click search, it will filter down to just observations of birds. And scrolling through, yes, I can confirm that all of those are birds. We no longer need that search button because it has correctly filtered it. So now we want to batch edit and add all of these observations to our Birds of Texas project. So we click batch edit and we select all observations, because remember, this is filtered to just Birds of Texas. And we are going to click add to project. And you won't have as many projects as we do. We have a few projects. And so we're going to scroll down to find Birds of Texas and then click add. And depending on how many observations you have, it might take a while. We only had 18 observations to add, and you'll see that these following observations could not be added because it was already in the project, already in the project, already in the project, already in the project. And so now we can confirm. Let's take a look at this burrowing owl observation. How cute is that? Rachel took such good pictures. If we scroll down, we hope we see that under projects, it is now in Birds of Texas. Drum roll, please. Projects, Birds of Texas. There we go. So that is how you batch edit observations to be added to a project. If instead you wanted to batch edit all of your observations to be obscured, which I am not going to save, I am going to just demonstrate how you would do it without clicking save. I would refresh the page. So now it includes all observations that are ever on my profile, and click batch edit. If you wanted to change all of your observations, you would select all. In this case, let's say we only wanted to, for example, I batch edited all of my personal observations that were in my neighborhood, so the location was obscured. And let's say I lived in Galveston and I wanted to obscure these locations because they were in my backyard. I would narrow down and zoom into the area and click redo search and map area. And it now has all 4 observations that this profile has ever documented in the Galveston area. And now I can click batch edit, select all, and we can confirm that all of these observations that are in this screen right here are all selected. And a new button pops up and says edit selected. And now we are in a different window. We can see all 4 observations are here. If we click more fields, we can see that we can apply a tag. So we could apply a TNT tag to all of them. Maybe we wanted to filter by tag. I don't know. You could mark them as captive or cultivated. You could add a field. You could batch edit all of the taxonomy, batch edit all of the dates and times, or batch edit the GPS location. So this example for batch editing the GPS location is super helpful in a BioBlitz where you don't have cell phone service, because sometimes it will, the GPS, if you don't have strong cell phone service, will be inaccurate. So if you find that all of your observations are all over the map, but they were really all taken at one bird blind, you could edit the GPS location and narrow in at the bird blind. So let me just show you how that would look. You could search. You can just use your cursor to zoom into something. Let's see. If you click on the map, it will generate, find the GPS location for that area. And you could click apply and change all of the GPS locations for all of these selected observations. But what we wanted to do was make all of these observations, turn them from open geoprivacy to obscure geoprivacy, so people could not find our backyard. To do that, we would go to the geoprivacy option and click obscured, and then go over here and click apply geoprivacy. Click that, and yeah, sure, okay. We're just going to apply that and then confirm that all of these observations have the obscured geoprivacy now. And once you have confirmed that it did indeed work, you then would click select all, and all of these observations are updated all at the same time. Mary said in chat that she uses it to add a field, black light attracted, to her mothing observations, which is so cool. I've never heard of anyone using it that way, which I think is just fantastic. Thank you so much for that. If I see, this is a chat from Robin, if I see something and know the identification but don't take a picture, can I still post it to record what was seen? For example, I saw a roadrunner today but did not take a photo. Absolutely. So Robin, I have done that very thing. Let's see if I can find this example. I was visiting some family in Houston, and I was on a walk, and I saw chimney swifts. I only had my cell phone with me. The chimney swifts were not vocalizing, and in addition, that phone had a broken microphone. There was no way I was ever going to get a picture of these chimney swifts in flight. But chimney swifts are one of our species of greatest conservation need, and so my hope was to document that location and maybe come back with a nicer camera and get a photo that can be ID'd to species. And so this is an example. You can see that there is no photo, but it is a chimney swift. I have a location and I have a time. I even wrote in the notes, I'm sorry, I don't have any pictures or recordings, but this is a lovely greenbelt that has chimney swifts. And so this was for my own personal record. This would not be able to be used in City Nature Challenge, in Birds of Texas, in research projects, but it was a convenient way for me to mark the location in hopes that I could come back or share this location with other naturalists saying, hey, I'm not coming back to Houston, but I see you like chimney swifts, and share this observation with them and say, you should go to this area and see if you can find the chimney swifts and where they're roosting. Dana asked if we joined a project but didn't realize it was a traditional project, so it did not load to the project observations in the new iNaturalist Not Classic. Can they be added? Absolutely, Dana. So you can do that through that batch edit process I was just showing you. If you don't know what Dana's talking about, iNaturalist on the iPhone has iNaturalist Classic and the app iNaturalist. I call it the new iNaturalist app, but the app that's just called iNaturalist, you can no longer add observations from that project to traditional projects. The only traditional projects that you will likely ever encounter are going to be our Texas Nature Tracker projects. And those are the 6 projects that we track through Texas Nature Trackers. And those projects are herps of Texas, mammals of Texas, birds of Texas, rare plants of Texas, Texas Whooper Watch, and Texas Eagle Nest. So with these projects, you have to opt in every single observation. You could do that by doing the very labor-intensive process of going into each observation, scrolling down, click Add to a Project, Birds of Texas, clicking that, and moving on to the next observation. Or you could do that batch edit process as I had shown you before, which is where you go to Edit Observations, Search, Filter by Birds, Batch Edit, Select All, Add to Project, add to the traditional project that you are a part of. For traditional projects, you have to join the project. For BioBlitzes, it's not necessarily required for you to join BioBlitz. It usually just collects in everything that was observed in that area. But for our Texas Nature Tracker projects, the traditional projects, you have to first join those projects and then opt in each and every single iNaturalist observation. I did want to give a shout out to our Texas Nature Tracker projects because they are traditional projects. When you join the project, you automatically give us permission. I mean, you'll read this. It's not like it is unknown. When you join the project, you will have to confirm that you give us permission to view your observations' private GPS locations, so we can use this for research and in conservation. So this is super important for Texas Whooper Watch, Texas Eagle Nest. For all of these, we use this all the time in our agency. These observations that citizen scientists like yourself have contributed. And thank you for contributing your observations. If you're a Texas Master Naturalist, these projects are pre-approved for you to participate in and get Master Naturalist volunteer hours. So what that means is as long as you're following the iNaturalist rules and requirements of your chapter, you can use iNaturalist to document birds, herps, mammals, rare plants, Texas Whooper Watch, Texas Eagle Nests on iNaturalist and get TMN volunteer hours if you submit them to this project. Ray Roberts State Park requires selecting them. Let's take a look-see. Ray Roberts State Park. Yes, so this is a traditional project. It's historically, traditional projects were the only project. And this way, the curators, which is Ranger Rick. Oh, I've met him before. He can view all of the precise GPS locations for your observations that you submit. Instead, some other projects like McKinney Falls State Park. Whoops. It has a kind of a different view. Yes, you can join it, but it just pulls in all observations that were documented in McKinney Falls State Park. You'll notice if I were to search in Explore, here, let's use this as an example, McKinney Falls State Park. If instead I went to the place, not the project, but the place, the observations should be the exact same amount because these collection projects are basically fancy URL searches with permanent pages that have project journals. So let's see, 25090, 25090. And so in this case, if you were to submit an observation to this project or document in McKinney Falls State Park, but you were to make your location obscured, since you did not give McKinney Falls State Park permission to view your GPS location, they would not necessarily know that it was documented in McKinney Falls State Park. It's a very niche topic, the different differentiations of the different projects. If you are, for the vast majority, you will be interacting with collection projects like this. There are other examples of traditional projects like road mortalities, I believe. Texas? No. This is, let's see. Here's an example of a traditional project where you have to opt in each and every single observation because there is no way to simply filter in Explore roadside mortalities. Instead, if you observe something that is dead on the road, you have to specify that you want to contribute that observation to this project. Once again, I'm going to share this QR code while I look at the next list of suggested topics. I've gone through batch edit, I've gone through creating a project, I've gone through create a location using Google My Maps. I've gone through, I haven't gone through tags yet. No one's really asked about that. I would like to cover Creative Commons licensing. So this is something I use all of the time. For my presentations, for Facebook posts, I go into iNaturalist and I try to find observations that are in the Creative Commons licensing, which means that I can use it in any fashion. I can crop it. I can use it in educational purposes. I could even use it for commercial purposes. I'm not going to, but I could. So if we were to select by more filters, you can filter by only observations that are CC0, which means that it is in the Creative Commons licensing. And these are all observations that I could use willy-nilly as freely as I need to. It is super convenient. On my, here you can see all of my observations, all of them are Creative Commons. Oh, that's kind of a grim picture. Sorry, I didn't mean to bum you guys out. This picture of a golden-fronted warbler. If we look in the, oh no, it would be right here. In the CC, that's the photo licensing. You can see I have no rights reserved. You can even hover over that and read more about it. There is no copyright information. You don't have to cite my work at all. That is just I like to think of it as my gift to the world, that all 6,000 plus observations I have taken in Texas are all in Creative Commons licensing and can be used in any fashion whatsoever. There is a easy way on your profile to make that the default. I understand that there are some photographers out there that want to make sure that their photos are licensed to them because they intend to publish, to print, to sell, to make Facebook posts, to do anything, or just they don't simply want anyone to use their photo. That is totally fine. But if you want to do a simple way to contribute to education across Texas, let me show you how to make the default of all of your observations, future observations, be Creative Commons. So we would hover over the top right hand corner of the screen and go to Account Settings. And it's going to be somewhere in here, so I'm going to have to poke around. Sorry about this. If we go to Account, nope. Content and display. Let's use this. Yes. Okay. So if you're in your account settings and go to content and display, there is a portion under there that is licensing. Licensing your content gives anyone the legal right to use it without asking your permission if they abide by the terms of the license. And so to make your photos have no copyright, you could have your default photo license be, click that, and then click copy. no copyright. And then you could click this button, which is update existing photos with the new license choices. You would then click save settings, and all of your observations you've ever submitted will then, the photos will be in the Creative Commons licensing and can be used by educators, by people giving presentations, by people writing books, making Facebook pages, making websites. There's all sorts of different licensing options that you can read about. For example, you could make it so they have to give you attribution, but it's in the Creative Commons licensing. You can make it so that all rights are reserved. Let's say you're a photographer and you're very proud of your work and you want to protect your hard work. You would put all of your photos in no licensing and retain all of your rights. Thank you so much, Dana. I'm so glad you were able to join us. So let's say, let's do an example of in the Austin area. This is an actual real life case scenario. Let's search in the greater Austin area. I want to mentally prepare and I guess familiarize myself with the most common taxa that are observed during City Nature Challenge. City Nature Challenge is at the end of April, early May. So we can filter in the filter options the 2 months, April and May, for the greater Austin area. And we can familiarize ourselves with the 9,852 species that have been documented in the Austin area in April and May in perpetuity. And so you can familiarize yourself with this. Let's say you were like, during City Nature Challenge, really need to get an observation of I'm trying to use an example. White-mouth dayflower. You could go to the map and see where they're commonly observed or where they have been observed in the past. And let's see, in Austin, are they at any of my favorite parks? It looks like they have been commonly observed at McKinney Falls State Park. So I could confidently say during City Nature Challenge, if I go to McKinney Falls State Park, I will see Comelina erecta. I could also explore that in the Barton Creek Greenbelt, they have been documented quite a lot, and at the Austin Nature and Science Center. So if I wanted to narrow down specific species, I could look at the distribution map of these specific species. But let's say you wanted to specifically familiarize yourself with the species of greatest conservation need in your area. There is a way to do that. It is not simple, but there is a way. So for your convenience, on our Texas Nature Trackers profile on our account on iNaturalist, we have made taxonomic lists of the species of greatest conservation need lists over the years. You'll see that the current one, which was just approved fairly recently, is right here with 1,100 taxa. And if we click on this, you'll see all of the different species of greatest conservation need in Texas. Now, you could just go through page by page, but I pretty much guarantee in the Austin area, you're likely not going to observe an oceanic manta ray. So I'm going to show you how you can narrow down the observations in the greater Austin area to filter to this taxonomic list. You'll see in the URL at the very top, we have a string of numbers. That will be important. I'll come back to that in 1 second. So again, in this Austin area, this is all of the observations that have ever been documented in April and May. You'll see that there's no way to filter by a taxonomic list. Instead, we are going to use a URL query. And so there is so much more functionality to the website, which I would have to cover in future Texas Nature Tracker programs like this. But my favorite one is to filter by a taxonomic list. So to filter by a taxonomic list, in the Explore window, in the area that you're viewing, in this case it's Austin, at the very end of the URL, you would do an ampersand, so that and sign, and list underscore ID is equal to, and then you get this string of numbers from the URL and paste that right in here. So when I click enter, it is going to filter to the list of species of greatest conservation need that have been observed in Austin in the months of April and May. And so now we can see it's a much fewer number. And now we could go through and go to the species tab, and now we can we can familiarize ourselves with the most frequently observed to the most least frequently observed species of greatest conservation need in the Austin area. So this is a great way to figure out the best ways to contribute to conservation of these species, is to provide simple documentation. So this is what I spend a lot of my time doing when I'm going to visit a new area in Texas. I look at the species of greatest conservation need that have been observed in that area. And let's scroll down randomly to rock quillwort and pretend I do not know what rock quillwort looks like. So we could click that taxonomic name, rock quillwort, and it will bring us to the taxa page. We could click through example photos. Okay, all of these were taken at Enchanted Rock State Park. Yep, Enchanted Rock State Park. Maybe some pictures of how to identify this. It lives in vernal ponds, in granite outcrops in Enchanted Rock State Park. Interesting. I could even go back and look at the 6 observations that have ever been documented in the greater Austin area of rock quillwort. Wow, that's so awesome. I want to document the species. Now I know what it looks like, and now I know what I have to photograph to get to research grade. So let's go back to this taxonomic list. I'm going to try to find a species that I have never seen and I wouldn't know how to identify it. And I'm going to familiarize myself. Okay, Texas mock orange. This one always eludes me. Let's first look at the taxa page. There is one photographic example. So we can see from this photographic example that it appears the leaves are simple, they're alternately arranged, and they do not appear serrated. If we wanted more information about this taxa, we could go to the About tab on the taxa page and click Flora of North America. Oh, cloud flare issue. The website's down. Let's try a different website. NatureServe. So Texas mock orange is only found in Texas. On NatureServe, we can find the scientific name. And sometimes there will be taxonomic descriptions on this page. In this case, there isn't. So let's go back and see if we can get maybe eFloras. Okay, so efloras.org has some information about Texas mock orange. It is a shrub, 6 to 15 diameter. I don't know what that DM means. The stems are spreading, green to yellow, weathering grayish, and striate. See, I've been a biologist for 10 years now, and I still need to look up definitions. Marking, streaking. Okay. The leaves have a petiole of 2 to 4.5 millimeters. So I could find all of the information about the stems, the leaves, the inflorescence, the pedicels, the flowers, the capsules, and the seeds for this species if I wanted to figure out how to identify it in the field. In this case, there are 2 subspecies, and we could even get down to subspecies information for Texas mock orange. And I want to find Texas mock orange observations in the greater Austin area. Where can I find them? Trees typically do not just get up and move. So hopefully with some of these trees, I could go find them today. All of the trees for this species that have been documented in April and May are west of the I-35 corridor. So that tells me that this is a species that exists in the Edwards Plateau, west of the Balcones Escarpment. And so let's see if we can find an example of a location that we have the information on. Windsor Park. In these 2 streets, we have Dakota mock orange. Beautiful little flower. So in this person's front yard, they have Dakota mock orange. I hope they document it for this City Nature Challenge. That's wonderful. Beautiful blooms, and it blooms during City Nature Challenge. I hope I get to see it. I'm not necessarily going to show up at this person's house and go, hey, I saw you have a rare plant on your property. Can I come take a picture of it? Because that would be weird. Instead, I'm going to try to see if I can find if it is in a natural area. Let's just zoom in here. Travis County Natural Resources Field Office. I don't know if this is a public office that people can just walk up to. Oh, wow. This person provided a photo with their hand as a reference, which completely changes everything. I thought the leaves were much bigger. That is fascinating. How different a scale can make a picture. That's so cool. So maybe I'll see if I can stop by this office and document this Texas mock orange, because that is awesome. I don't think I have an observation of this species. If I wanted to confirm that I don't have the species, let's do Texas mock orange, view observations, and I am going to filter by observations that my personal account has observed. And yes, I have not observed this species ever. So that is my mission during City Nature Challenge this year, is to document Texas mock orange. We have about 15 minutes left, which means I could probably comfortably show one more example. Again, I'm just going to put up this QR code. I've gone over a little bit of URL search queries. I've talked about exploring other locations. I've kind of critiqued some photos to suggest photo best practices. You want pictures that are in focus. have highlighted or specified the tax that you're trying to document. Don't take a picture of all of an entire mixed flock and post that to iNaturalist and expect it to work. Narrow in, crop the photo on the particular species you're trying to observe. iNaturalist anomalies. That is a new feature in iNaturalist, which I've kind of played around with. So everyone has access to this feature, but it's kind of hidden. Again, we're at the Explore tab. And if we go to filters, more filters. Oh, it's no longer there. What? It used to be right here. Well, never mind. I guess that's not an option anymore. It was a way, like anomalies, it was like a option you could click on or off to show anomalies in Texas. And so it would filter to observations of species that are not expected and not normally seen in Texas. So it's a great way to document or kind of discover new non-native species that were introduced into the state, temporary migrant species, like let's say a Eurasian species that got blew over in a hurricane or something. It was kind of convenient, kind of fun, but I don't see that option anymore. It used to be in this filter option. Oh well. I've kind of gone over taxalists. iNaturalist ambassadors. iNaturalist ambassadors. This is a new program debuted last year by iNaturalist. It is open to anyone who is excited to share their love of nature and help others discover iNaturalist. You need to be at least 18 years old and have at least 100 verifiable observations and 100 identifications for others. You can easily get both of those requirements this weekend. To sign up to be an ambassador, it's a simple sign up form, and then you get trained on how to teach iNaturalist. You get trained on skill building, on you get periodic entry into drawings for iNaturalist merchandise. We at Texas Nature Trackers previously had the iNaturalist Speakers Bureau, where we provided iNaturalist PowerPoint presentations for you and trained master naturalists on how to teach people how to use iNaturalist. But this is going to probably take the place of that. We'll instead try to coordinate all Texas iNaturalist ambassadors and provide additional training. But this is a great way to get advanced training. If you're a master naturalist, you need those advanced training hours. This is a great way to volunteer conducting outreach and education in your local community. We at Texas Nature Trackers are limited into where, when, and what we can, where we can teach iNaturalist. For example, our funding codes prevent us from just going into, from being invited and going into the public school system and giving presentation. All of our programs have to be kind of catered towards adults and families. But you could sign up to be an iNaturalist ambassador and take on that very much needed role of teaching children and their families on how to use iNaturalist to explore the world around them. So I highly encourage you to look into the ambassador program and potentially sign up to be an iNaturalist ambassador. There is an iNaturalist ambassador directory map, so we could even filter by Texas. And Let's see. Emergency! I need an iNaturalist educator. Oh, thank goodness Jason Brooks in Midland, Texas is available and has been trained in how to give iNaturalist presentations. We could even email him. We could request that he hosts bio blitzes, educational programs, guided nature hikes. And so this is a great opportunity. Previously, maybe someone in Midland would have been like, maybe contacting me all the way out in Austin, trying to come to Midland to give an iNaturalist presentation. But now you can engage with your local experts to give iNaturalist presentations. So that frees up a lot of my time, a lot of Rachel's time. It provides opportunities and outreach to engage with your local community as well. I don't believe that I have officially signed up for Master Naturalists. Oh, sorry, iNaturalist ambassadors. But David Cook has. David Cook is an awesome capital area Master Naturalist. Way to go, David. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I would highly encourage you to be like David and sign up to be an iNaturalist ambassador. With that, I think this is a fantastic place to end my casual iNaturalist advanced training. This is recorded. We will upload this to our YouTube and share the link to our Facebook page. Thank you so much, Rachel Grotti in chat, for helping me moderate and answer questions. Thank you, everyone, for being here, participating, whether you watch this live or you're watching it way into the future. I can't wait to see what observations you take during this weekend's City Nature Challenge, and go out there and document biodiversity. And with that, we will end the program. I will leave this live up for a few more minutes if you have any burning questions about iNaturalist that I can answer. Otherwise, salutations and good night. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Rita. Oh, I forgot to provide my email. You can message this Facebook page and I will contact you, or my email is wendy.anderson@tpwd.texas.gov. And I'm happy to answer all of your iNaturalist questions. Thank you so much, Misty, Melissa, and Ilya. Awesome. I'm so glad y'all tuned in for the entire 2 hours. Way to go. And that's impressive. Okay. I'm closing it down.